the best thing you can do is to take care of your own health and the health of people around you.
So hello and welcome to the Cheeky Science Show, where in this video I had the absolute delight in speaking with Sergey Young, a longevity investor and visionary with a mission to extend healthy lifespans of 1 billion people. Sergey founded the Longevity Vision Fund to achieve this and to accelerate life extension, technological breakthroughs, and to make longevity affordable and accessible to all. I hope you enjoy our conversation. So hi, Sergey. Thank you very much for joining me today and welcome to the Cheeky Science Show.
Hi, Eleanor. I'm very excited to be here with you today.
Thank you very much. So my first question is, can you tell me a bit more about your background and how did you end up finding the Longevity Vision Fund and becoming a longevity investor?
Yeah, so two things here. One, we all start to develop our interest or go on our longevity and health journey, usually from our personal health crisis. So I had my, and it's like 80 or 90% of people whom I know, it's happened the same way. Significant deterioration of your health or the health of the people whom you love. And then you start thinking, oh my goodness, there's this thing, taking care of my health and longevity, and I need to sort it out somehow. So that was my case as well. It was not that dramatic. Back in 2014, I discovered I have high cholesterol level, and I had a choice to live on statins, like on drug every day till the rest of my life, or try to change this through lifestyle interventions. And I'm so happy I choose the second path, and it was so successful. Like my level of energy, level of health, desire to live also changed completely in the course of 6 months. So do my cholesterol level as well decreased quite substantially. And I started to share it with people, and it was so successful. I saved so many lives just by pushing people to do their annual medical screening, and some of them discovered cancer because it was early death. They managed to go through that. They fully recovered, and the quality of their life sustained. So I thought, well, this is something I can do for the world. And so I decided to support scientists and entrepreneurs who are working in the field of longevity research or technology development. And I started with Longevity Vision Fund. And this is not my money, it's money of investors who trust me and our scientific and investment team. But it was such an amazing experience. Like every year, we're looking at least 200 companies who are working in the field of human health span and lifespan extension. And it's been brilliant experience, and it feels really good. So we've been able to support 18 companies through Longevity Vision Fund and 18 scientific and entrepreneurial teams. And they bringing to this world a much more data-driven, technology-based version of healthcare.
Awesome. And so out of these different companies, are they biased towards different areas, or is there some of them mainly pharmaceutical based, or others more the basic science, others more looking at insurance, or like what kind of scope does it cover?
Yeah, so the nature of investments is always about diversification. So unlike research, when you pick up your theme and then you're just working to develop, you go very deep into that. So every investment portfolio needs to be diversified. So your bets should be done in a different direction. So what are the directions that we're using for Longevity Vision Fund and for our existing and new portfolio? One is gene therapy and gene editing, looking and supporting different technologies which would bring more different technologies to edit or switch on, switch off our genes. And some of that is literally development of technologies. In some of the cases, it's more like libraries of viral vectors. Well, it's sort of like an infrastructure for development of what we call genomic medicine. So that's one thing. Second thing is regenerative medicine. By the way, your question is about the near horizon of longevity innovation. This is how I call it in the book. These are all technologies which might not be fully available today, but in 10, 20 years from now, they will be widely available. So this is where the main investment focus of LVF, Longevity Vision Fund, is. So one is genomic medicine. Second is regenerative medicine. So, and in some of the cases, we're looking at stem cells. In some of the cases, we, for example, invested in the companies which work on organ regeneration. Like the example of this company would be like Genesis, which used our lymph nodes to regrow organs inside our bodies. So that's the opportunity to use one donor liver, split it by 50 or 75 pieces, and through very simple operation to put this nucleus in our lymph node. And then in the course of 3 to 6 months, the new liver grows inside your body and support the function of the liver, which is not working at the moment. So regenerative medicine, like stem cells, organ regeneration, etc. We do invest in drug development, but it's just very difficult to compete with big pharma. So, I mean, it's a huge industry, and they obviously have a lot of programs to tackle that. And well, the other problem with drug development is out of 5,000 candidates right in the beginning of drug development process, it's probably 1 out of 5,000 will make it to the pharmacies and to doctors and to patients. So your funnel is really against investing into that, because I couldn't really make 5,000 bets, right, through my relatively small fund. So what we do, we invest in infrastructure for drug development, because if you look at drug development process today, at least in US, this is super expensive. So it's on average, it's $2.6 billion per drug, per successful drug, because you're paying for failures of all the candidates, and it's 12 years process, given the FDA regulation and different trials that you need to do. So we're investing in use of artificial intelligence to help and speed up drug discovery. So use of artificial intelligence, in addition to human intelligence, give you an opportunity to compress the first 2 or 3 years of drug development, drug discovery cycle into 2 or 3 months. And we invested in companies like Insilica Medicine, founded by very good friend Alex Zhavoronkov, or Valo Health. They're Boston-based, founded by David Barry from Flagship Pioneering. This is one of the largest, one of the most successful biotech funds. They actually were behind success of Moderna, so a lot of people knows them that way. Yeah, so that's 3 directions. The other one is diagnostic and medical devices for early diagnostic, because these days, if you do early, like for example, cancer diagnostic, your recovery rates can be up to 90 or even 100%. So cancer is not a case of that anymore if you discover that at very early stage. And by the way, recovery rates for late stage cancer is like 10, 20, 30%, depending on the cancer type, but it's still pretty bad and difficult, mortal disease. So our idea is to bring affordable and accessible version of diagnostic devices and tools to the world, basically, to the countries that we're working with. So we invested in affordable portable ultrasound devices that are 20 to 40 times cheaper than the huge ultrasound machine that you have in the hospital next door. We invested in early cancer diagnostic company called Freenome. They're based in California, and they use liquid biopsy, like our blood test, to identify risk of early stage colon cancer. And colon cancer, out of many cancers, is a really difficult one to identify, specifically at early stage. So they develop an almost like a box product for you to enjoy the benefit of really easy diagnostic of colon cancer, and they're working on other cancer types. So that's probably, there's something what I call the far horizon of longevity innovations, which is 25, 50 years from now, but that's really futuristic, and we don't really invest in that. It's just too early for us.
Thank you for that. It's really interesting. And yeah, I think leading on from your last point, a lot of this technology to some extent is still developing. It's very early stage, obviously also very exciting. But then I guess it makes it a harder decision for investing as to choosing the right companies to invest in and making sure that you think that what they're stating they can achieve or what they're hoping to do will actually come to fruition. So what kind of criteria do you take into account when you choose like which companies to invest in?
Great question. So one, remember our mission to bring affordable and accessible version of longevity. So for us, the first filter is this technology or this scientific discovery has the potential to be widely available to the people in the world. So that's important for us. We're not in the business of investing into companies which would, develop high profile elite treatment, which would cost, $1 million or pounds. And so then few people on earth can really enjoy it. So this affordability and accessibility aspect is really important. So that's one. Second thing, remember we are investment funds. So we would need to protect or help companies that we're investing in protect their IP. So, and this is really interesting one. So whatever is in the process of discovery or in the process of development, they should have an ability, an opportunity to protect their intellectual property rights on that. So that's important. Having said that, I think what was amazing for me to discover when I started to spend time and invest my time and efforts into longevity field, that some of the things done by Mother Nature, they also work and can be super helpful for our health, like lifestyle changes, like a diet changes, physical exercise, importance of sleep as well. So you're always struggling like, oh my goodness, this thing work, but is it going to be like a viable business which should always have dollars or pounds to support the development of this and become widely available. So the fact that we're investing in this IP protected territories doesn't really mean that some other things is not working. Like, for example, if you look at what you can do today, and it's like, if you look at my book, The Science and Technology of Growing Young, the last chapter is bonus chapter dedicated to 10 longevity choices that you can do today. And almost all of them, are for free. Or even if you switch like to the more plant-based diet, you actually save a little bit of money from your family budget. So that's in some of the cases, that's how easy it can be to become like a healthier and happier version of yourself. And meditation is for free. You just sit down in a room in silence and you meditate. Sorry, I lost the track. I got so excited about this whole thing, like what you can do today, that it's very difficult to bring me to tomorrow. What was the question?
Sorry. That's all right. I was asking about how you make the decision about choosing companies to invest in.
Okay, I got it. So, so one is affordability, accessibility aspect. Second is about IP. The third really is about the team. So it's very rarely that it's either 100% scientific team or 100% entrepreneurs. So it's always a combination of like bringing the best of two worlds, the scientific world and technological or entrepreneurial world. This should be there. The fourth, I don't know how interesting it's going to be for our audience, so I would not spend a lot of time there. But like when you do due diligence, and this is the process of like really doing detailed analysis of the company before you invest in it. So for due diligence process, you have like a 2 or 3 month maximum before you decide whether you're going to invest in this company or not. So this is really limited period of time. So, and it's not a lot of the things that you can check within this time horizon. What we're looking at is what we call partnerships. What kind of partnerships these people in this team build through the whole history of their existence as a startup or as a team. And we have intentionally broad definition of partnerships, like their relationship with their employees and with the team is partnership. Their relationship with their investors is, another form of partnerships as well. their relationship or actual collaboration agreements with big pharma or medical devices companies is partnership. Their relationships with academia, with scientists, or with universities or schools is also important. So we kind of think about this. Okay, well, if this is what they build, this is kind of partnership and followership that they build through the years of their development. Well, this is great. Then people trust them. They do really amazing work, and they committed to development of particular discovery or technological breakthrough. And so we kind of happy to be one of their partners. So that's, again, it's in a very common sense term, but it's actually a very important way for us to check, like, are we going to be sitting in the same kind of car with these guys for many years?
Oh, no, thank you for that. And speaking about your relationship with all these different companies, you've accumulated through that this huge wealth of information about not only the science, but also the technology of longevity. And also you summarize all of that information very nicely in your recent book. So I guess my question is, what motivated you to write the book, and what were the key messages that you would hope someone would take from it?
Okay, beautiful. Well, one, I have 3 degrees. So, and I'm always kind of guy who's just learning. So I was, at some point of time, I was seriously thinking of doing like a 4th degree. And I thought, well, crazy. Well, Sergey, you need to change something in your lives. And I thought, rather than reading the books, I mean, why don't you try to write the book? And it was an amazing time. Like this August, we published the book, again, Science and Technology of Growing Young. It's immediately became bestseller. It's Wall Street Journal bestseller. It's a national bestseller in the US. It was #1 on Amazon in 3 categories, like preventive medicine, longevity, and aging.
Oh, congratulations.
And, yeah, but so like, this whole, the best part of it is just actually a book writing part. Because what you do, you interview amazing people. And like, if you want to speak to, I don't know, like David Sinclair or George or Bob Langer, the guy behind success and foundation of Moderna, like, there's not a lot of excuses to speak to them. But like, if you write in the book, you can always say, look, I'm writing the book, can you help me with that? And they're like, of course, we're going to help you. So it's been an amazing time, like discussing the future of medicine, the future of gene editing, gene therapy, regenerative medicine, drug development, like changes in diagnostic or organ regeneration. With all these guys, I mean, it's been really amazing. And I couldn't really share like the old feelings like you get from, inspiration and all these facts and information from these people. Obviously, the fact that I'm an investor, the fact that I'm supporting scientists and entrepreneurs who would like to make a change in healthcare sector and in longevity technology was like super helpful. So the whole idea was to summarize and synthesize the knowledge that we get from looking at 200 companies a year. Imagine, this is just an enormous information flow, plus views and judgments and experience of all these 50 what I call longevity pioneers, longevity enthusiasts from all around the world. It's been amazing. And like the most difficult part, and you probably seen it in your academic work, is actually cutting out the content. So you write like, the book is like 200 pages. It's not the biggest book on longevity, but we literally produce at least 500 pages. And like, it's always a torture, like to take this part, to take out this piece as well. But again, it's all just comes down to amazing people that you work with when you work on a book. Like probably two, well, it was a lot of memorable conversations, but one for me was with Martin Rothblatt, who is an amazing woman, entrepreneur, scientist, innovator, who working in the field of organ regeneration. She's behind a company called United Therapeutics. Watch her, again, such an inspirational person. And the second conversation was with Peter Jackson, the man behind Lord of the Rings, Avatar, Hobbit, movies, and to talk with him about the ethics of longer living and ethics of human avatars. So that's been amazing as well. So I can go on and on. I'm so happy I'm in the end of my 3 years journey, and book was a success. There's not a lot of undertakings in this life, in the world of smartphones. Then our attention span is actually around 8 seconds. Like, going on 3 years journey it was quite an undertaking, but I'm really happy it worked out pretty well.
That's good to hear. I mean, it sounds really inspirational. So talking back about the content of your book, you've already mentioned the way that you break it down into the near horizon of longevity and the far horizon of longevity. So speaking first more about the near horizon, you mentioned that you yearly go to something called the Human Longevity Clinic. So what exactly goes on there? What happens?
Yeah, so it sounds like a sci-fi, but it's not. It's basically your annual medical screening, and you can do it everywhere in the world. So I just happen to know the founders of this clinic, but you go there, and like your whole day is dedicated to different medical screening procedures. Okay, so, and I'm always saying, like, the most important day of your life every year is the day of your medical screening. So that's this year for me it was June 8th, and I went to San Diego, California for that. But all you do is, like, typical procedures. You do like a blood test. I actually gave like 21 samples of blood. You do ultrasound of heart and this area here. You do full body MRI, and sometimes you do CT, not every year. You do DEXA. So it's a different, like, diagnostic devices and tools that are available in any developed country. And for all of the people and our audience, I mean, you can check with your doctor, come to him or her and say, look, I just want to be much more preventive in my health strategy or health action plan. Like, what we can do within my, like, insurance plan or within what is offered. It's okay. What we can do within my health plan or within what has been offered to me to check against the risk of killer diseases, which are cancer, heart disease, diabetes, and neurodegenerative diseases. And frankly speaking, there is not a lot that we understand today about neurodegenerative diseases like dementia. This is rather new for us. Not a lot of people before this generation has been able to live to 80 or 90 years to face this problem. But like, in terms of heart disease, diabetes, and cancer, we pretty much know, like, the whole medical profession and the healthcare system knows how to check the risks of that. This is what you need to do every year. So it's not like biohacking clinic, which do some secret experiments with you. This is really common sense.
Cool. And so I guess you foresee these kind of clinics becoming more prevalent in the future, and I guess the accessibility for these different measurements, I guess, will increase as well. So I think there's a stat in the book about precision medicine, which I guess is a bit of a segue, but being a $200 billion industry by 2028. And like, to me, 200 billion even is a huge number, but like, how big is that number relative to different industries?
Oh, great question. I'm not sure I know the answer, but like, yeah, I don't know the answer. Sorry. It's a great strategic question. I've never went to such a high level of synthesis and being top down. Yeah, I'm sorry to disappoint you.
That's all right. I mean, to me, that still is a big number. So definitely, I foresee it being more common that people do measure different biometrics. And I guess, leading on from that, you mentioned a concept that I hadn't heard of before, which is Internet of Bodies. So could you explain what that is?
Yes, I can. So think about my horizons, right? There is something you can do right now, right? This bonus chapter, 10 longevity choices, live healthy. It is actually very important. Even it sounds boring or people think it's just lifestyle changes. It is, but like staying on longevity bridge, and so like in 10, 20 years from now, you can enjoy the benefit of all these technologies that we're discussing today. So this is now. Then near horizon is what we discussed already. 10, 20 years from now, gene editing, gene therapy, organ regeneration, longevity in the pill, etc. So then looking at the far horizon of longevity, and these are technologies that will be available to us in 25, 50 years from now. There are a number of things. So one is like human avatars. You can use the robotic avatar technology, or you can use the technology of virtual avatar, right? So for example, I'm working in the next 12 months, I'm working on a project of developing a virtual avatar of Sergey Young. So I can speak at so many places, right? My mission is to change the world. So I'm not taking speaking fees. So obviously, I'd like to be presenting to as many conferences as possible. So, I'll have like, my additional virtual copy, who can deliver some of the speeches. And it's a lot of fun, right? There's not a lot of opportunities for you to, hear about 7 signs of longevity revolution from human avatars. So what's next? And this is your question, like Internet of Bodies. Today, we all know the concept of Internet of Things. And this is where, all of the, devices around us are interconnected and, well, centrally managed or managed by you. So then in the future, we all going to be interconnected. We're all going to be full of sensors, and we're going to be part of decentralized AI-run, artificial intelligence-run network, which will help us to detect any potential issues with our health and not only monitor, but also manage our health on a global scale. So this is the concept of Internet of Bodies. I'm a little example of it. I'm like full of sensors today. So, I have my Whoop, I have my Apple Watch, I have Oura Ring to manage my and monitor my sleep. I have continuous glucose monitor here to monitor glucose. But like in the future, they're going to be smaller. They're going to be more integrated with our body, and they're going to be interconnected with like a number of centralized systems. What else is interesting? Like human brain AI integration. It's super important. So we humans, we tend to think so that in the future, it's going to be fight between human intelligence and artificial intelligence. I actually think it's going to be coexistence. And it's actually very typical for humans to think about the world in contradictory, in like binary terms, like black and white, 1 and 0. I do believe like we can use the best of both worlds. And our brains going to be integrated with computer power. So we all, like an advanced version of humans. Again, 25, 50 years from now, don't worry about this one. I actually think that like in a couple of decades from now, the biggest problems with human advancements and advancement in our healthcare is not going to be in the field of science. It's not going to be in the field of technology. It's going to be the barriers we're going to see. It's going to be from human ethics and regulation, because there's not a lot of people are really excited to like integrate their brain with computer. I'm also full of fear. So we just need to work on the ethical and regulation side of it. So for us to be much more comfortable with this technology.
Thank you. Yeah, that's a really good explanation. And you kind of just alluded to it there. Like, what are the major risks with these technologies? Like, could someone hack them? Could someone steal the data? Like, how do you think we'll go about that?
Yeah, well, that's only one. But the second thing, well, imagine we all interconnected. Like, what is something bad happening with the world, right? And like, if we run out of power, like, will we retain our ability to exist in current biological form without support of electricity powered devices, right?
Yeah, great. I think it raises so many interesting questions. And there was another, there's the famous Charles Darwin quote, which is, "It is not the strongest of the species that survive, nor the most intelligent, but the one most responsive to change." I think I got that right. But like, how does, what does that quote mean to you in the context of all these advances in longevity?
Yeah, so, well, amazing question. And I do think I have this quote for one of the chapters in the book. So for me, it's like I'm 49, and it's like when you're 49, it's always temptation. Like, I've done 3 degrees. I earn some money. I'm father of 4 kids. Like, why do I need to start like a next horizon, like a next wave in my life? Why do I need to learn this stuff? So I'm technologically challenged. So I've been like 3 minutes late on our podcast because I really didn't figure out how to, manage, all these computers and Zooms as well. But like, I push myself every day to do something which is really uncomfortable for me. And well, that's why, people feel really uncomfortable of hearing the stories about gene editing and gene therapy, like human brain computer integration. But like, there is always the positive use of these scary or uncomfortable technologies. Like, I don't know if you watched the movie called The Father with Anthony Hopkins. It's recent movie, I think, yeah. Like the whole movie is done through the eyes of a person who's suffering from dementia. This is heartbreaking movie. But what if we can use brain-computer interface to help people who's suffering from dementia to spend last few years of their life and be assets, not liabilities, for their families, for their communities, for society? Well, that's like a positive use of that. What's one thing people criticize Elon Musk with Neuralink? Like, I'm always thinking about someone who's suffering from neurodegenerative diseases. And if we can use this technology to support him or her, well, that's for me like the best use of it. So it's always kind of rethinking, like, and like, frankly speaking, the best, acid test for this is like, if you don't accept something, if you're scared of something and you don't want to do something, well, you need to go there, right? You don't need to change your life and like dedicate your life to that, but just discover that, understand that, and see how this can be of use, not for you sometimes, but for other parts of our society. This is helpful as well.
I mean, leading on from that, talking more about as you put in your book, the morality of immortality, what are the main concerns that you think currently surround longevity and living longer, and how do you think we can best solve them?
Yeah, so it's not even $1 trillion question. It's probably $20 trillion question, which is GDP of US. So concerns are, will we have enough resources like food, energy, and I'm frankly speaking, with the arrival of renewable energy sources, we can solve it. 40% of food goes to waste every night, at least in the US, from supermarkets, households, and restaurants. So we can redistribute that. So I'm not concerned about this one. Overpopulation is another concern that I hear a lot. And if you look at any study, any reliable study, the population of Earth with current reproduction rate, we're in trouble demographically. So the population of Earth will increase to 10 or 11 billion by 2050. And then it's going to decrease to 8 billion by the end of this century. So we need to respond to that, right? It's not like we'll have a lot of people on Earth with that. Inequality gap is a big problem, and we need to sort it out. So, and I really hope that longevity and longevity technology are going to be unifying themes for the nations, not something which will continue to divide countries and nations and people around the world. And our relationship with Mother Nature. Like, I don't want to live on a planet which is full of plastic, right? And without biodiversity. And that's the part which needs rethinking and revisiting, all the time, starting from today.
Yeah, many interesting points to take from that. So one of them was, as you mentioned, inequality, and that one solution is trying to find approaches that either are already free or very cheap to do. And so one thing you have in your bonus chapter is talking about your subjective age or psychological aging.
Yeah.
And I actually was doing some research last week on this to make a video and realized that you have co-written a review article on this. So you're a better expert than I am on it. So could you explain what psychological aging is?
Yeah. So if you look at research, and there's a number of studies in this area, which says if you actually think that you're younger than you are, like from your calendar age, your body supports that. and you really becoming younger and healthier and happier version of yourself. In opposite, if you think like I'm 49, so if I would like think about, oh my goodness, my life is coming to an end, retirement is somewhere here, I've done everything I can do in this world, your body is actually respond to that and becoming older, and aging processes accelerate in your body. I'm not sure if, like 100% how it works, because our mind and our body, they interconnected. But my mantra since reading that is like, I'm gonna be living to 200 years in a body of 25 years old man. And my body responds to it. Like, imagine like every morning I'm waking up and 3/4 of my life is ahead of me. So I'm full of dreams, full of plans. And I know like living to 200 is just impossible today, given the current state of development of science and technology. But like, it's okay to dream to live 200. Yeah, I'm becoming younger anyway, at least on psychological level. And there's more to it. I'm pretty sure you'll do an amazing video on that. This is just brilliant. Like, and if you've seen in this bonus chapter, like the whole story and experiments they've done with psychological aging, it's just really mind-blowing how our body can respond to even like a power of thoughts in our head.
Yeah, exactly. And so another issue, I suppose, with thinking about living longer is, what is it we're going to be doing? So how do you foresee like the world of work in the future?
Yeah, like I don't really know, like, and it's I'll give you like very personalized version of response to this question. Like, our life will change. Okay, so it's not like we're going to be living in the current paradigm, because what will happen, robots, artificial intelligence, computers are going to be doing a lot of our work. So that's one. Second, we're going to have universal basic income. I'm truly believer in that. So all of us in a future society would have a certain amount of money to cover our basic needs. So we don't need to work. Work going to be an option, but our definition of work will change, right? And I don't know if you've seen it with some of your friends and colleagues through COVID. Like pre-COVID, going to work was like an obligation, was like a torture. And like for some of the people, oh, I have to work, I would just, and then after COVID, some of the people say, oh my goodness, finally I can come back to my factory, or I can come back to my office and see actual people, and realize myself through work. So work, rather than being a liability, work an obligation, work will become an asset, and like the opportunity to realize yourself. And it's going to be one of the activities that we're going to do. But like my mind and my intellect is not good enough to even like think through the all consequences of this change. But like, it's not going to be the same life that we're living. That's I'm pretty sure. Healthcare, food, clothing, place to live is going to be part of universal basic like a mix that we're going to receive, and the rest is really up to us. This is scary, but also it's very exciting.
So speaking of work, you have founded something known as Longevity at Work, and I was just wondering if you could explain a bit more about that.
So I have founded what? Longevity?
Longevity at work. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So your question is about longevity at work, and well, this is a program where we transform offices and factories into more longevity-enabled environment. And like everything I do in longevity, this is for free. So what I'm doing, I'm helping teams all around the world to transform their working environment to like a healthier version of that. So we help people to do their annual screening. Remember, we help people and give them access to different applications to do smoking cessation, so they can quit tobacco smoking. We are thinking about the safety and security. So, a lot of people follow like safety and security procedure to avoid, stupid death. We're changing the diet in their canteens and their vending machines, like no more sugar drinks, more vegetables, organic meats, and organic fish. We motivate people to use their wearables and go and do their like 10,000 steps a day. or we helping them to do like learn meditation, how to meditate, or give them courses about importance of sleep. So all of this is just really helping them to transform their life and life of people around them, to be more healthier and happier.
Cool. And so for someone who isn't necessarily a biologist or like a medical expert and not an investor, what is it that they could do to help the longevity field right now?
Well, longevity field is very early stage of development. So the best thing you can do is to take care of your own health and the health of people around you. We think about this. We delegated all our health-related decisions to other parties, like doctors, which is great. So doctors, well, insurance companies, big pharma, big food. In some of these parties, like regulators and governments, some of these parties, they have a conflict of interest because they're commercial organizations, right? They need to earn money. And I'm not saying you need to become your own doctor, but having your voice in this conversation, going on the discovery journey, to understand the human biology, how your body responds to different interventions, how you can live healthy and happier life. Well, that's like the best thing you can do for yourself, for your family, for your community, for your corporation, organization, for your country, and in the world. That's it. Like, you just need to serve an example, and the more people will change their lifestyle and their attitude towards health and take responsibility and control for their own health, the better for all of us.
That was really well put. So is there any other advice that you would want to leave the audience with, either for someone wanting to go in the investing route or someone more generally about their health?
Yeah, so that's probably it. I think the key message from the book, we're all going to be living longer or radically longer than we expect. And I want you to start thinking about this. Your health strategy should be different. You should be much more preventive, proactive, personalized. You should be more involved, because you're going to be hanging out in this world for at least a couple of decades more than you expect. It is about your personal financial strategy. It's about your different career strategy, right? Can I have as many careers as decades in my life? Well, it is about family strategies. How are you going to manage all these kids from multiple generations? I don't have all the answers, and neither, some other people do. But just thinking about this thing, about the implication of longer living and arrival of digital healthcare, much more data-driven and technology-based version of medicine, is such an enjoyable process. And I can tell you, like, this whole process and the whole change that you're about to make your life has one huge side effect. You're going to be healthier and happier, and you really enjoy it.
I think you've left us with some really interesting questions. So where can people go to find out more information about you?
Yeah, so the easiest way to go to sergeyyoung.com, sign up for our newsletters. And the other thing is just ordering the book, The Science and Technology of Growing Young. You can order it from Amazon or any other book platforms. And and actually, when you order the book and you go to sergeyyoung.com, you can claim amazing bonus offer, like access to 12 videos called Longevity Video Academy, when I talk about different trends, different technologies and interventions that you can do today, or you're going to be able to do in the future to improve your health. And receive 2 other books. One is about the diet. Diet is really important in terms of our lifestyle changes today. And the other book about kids' health, because I'm father of 4, so I'm really keen to help our kids to make healthy choices as early as possible in their life.
Well, thank you very much for coming on again, Sergey. Your enthusiasm is contagious, and you've covered a variety of different topics, and I'm sure I found it myself very interesting to hear, and I'm sure my audience has too. So yeah, just thank you.
Thanks, Eleanor. What I can say, you're doing an amazing job, and I want you to continue to do that. This is super important, that we can translate science and all these complicated things in a much more understandable language for all of us, and for me as well. So please continue to do this. This is amazing.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Take
Bye-bye.
care.
Cheers.
So I hope you've learned something in this video. Thank you to my Patreon supporters and thank you for listening.